Before you stands a motor carriage. The bodywork is covered in blue and white livery, bearing the number 57. Vapor emanates from the large engine on the back of the vehicle. It hasn't had time to cool off yet. This must be the infernal machine that tore you from oblivion. In the cabin, you are welcomed by a set of steering levers, a radio microphone on a hook, a pull-out toolbox under the seat, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge. The frequency tableau lights up, and the green button labeled Prime Line glows like a feline eye. And then you hear something. The soft purr of electrical kittens, radio waves cast far and wide over the metropolis. A woman's voice greets you through the static.
This is Precinct 57. Hello, Lieutenant. How may I assist you?
Hello, Alice. Please assist our colleague from the 41st Precinct here. I'm putting him on.
This is Officer Alice Demetri, Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Just a second, officer.
10-2, 10-5. This is 41st. Come in. Over.
A scrawny old man sits in a dusty cubicle, smoking, with a large white rectangle sewn on his vest. In front of him is a box-shaped apparatus with an array of wires and antennas. The radio switchboard.
10-4, what's your status? Over. Ten 18, 10-20, over. State your message, sir. Over. 10-9, repeat message, over. 10-4, message received. This is a very serious situation. I need to 10-22 the captain, over.
Is it him? What does he want?
Says he lost his badge and needs to report it.
He what? He lost his badge?
Who lost his badge?
Dick fucking Mullen. Who do you think?
It's Officer Dick Mullen from the bestseller Dick Mullen and the Lost Identity.
Dick Mullen is not your name. It's the name of a fictional detective who would not lose his badge. Defend yourself. Immediately. They're laughing at you.
10-4, I hear you, officer. I'm just going to make a note here that you are in pursuit of your misplaced badge. Over.
Fuck me. Mac, come here. You've got to hear this. Dick Mullen lost his badge.
What's going on?
Super Cop here lost his badge.
He lost his what now?
His badge. He lost his goddamn fucking badge.
10-9, come again. I didn't get that. Over.
New heights even for Captain Sober.
Ask him. Ask him if he's lost his gun, too.
Sergeant Orson wants to know if you lost your gun, too. Over.
Check your pockets. Check your... Holy fuck. You don't know where it is, do you? No. It's gone. It's not fucking on you.
Don't sweat it, Bratan! You don't need a gun to have fun! We can still have fun! It's not all over!
10-9, come in, officer. Did you get my question? We were wondering about your gun. Over.
Even before you can get the words out, everything gets scrambled in your brain.
He says he didn't lose his gun. Or his fun, whatever that means.
Ask him to describe it. His gun. Not his fun. Just the gun will do.
Satellite Officer McLean requests a description of your weapon. Over.
Oh, request a description, huh? We'll give him one. Describe the plasma gun.
Then 9, come again, please. Over. I'm going to need to put you on speaker for a second. Over. The officer is describing his genitalia in exaggerated terms. Over.
Host in heaven. Did he lose his gun and his mind?
Dear God, he lost his gun? Oh my, I can't.
This isn't really a laughing matter.
Mac can face a giant of cocoa noodle by himself, but Disco hit made him piss his pants.
Oh, I can't. Fuck. He lost his... Ask him if he's still got his wiener.
I'm not going to.
Ask him.
Sergeant Orson here is wondering if you are still in possession of your genitalia. Over. That's a negative. Not going to say that. Over.
What's he saying? Share with the class.
He said he sodomized your mother.
The prick ate Mama's vanilla waffles at the captain's birthday party. Some nerve he's got.
Sure her vanilla waffles were the only thing he ate?
Shut up, Chester. This isn't funny. This is my mom we're talking about. Tell him to apologize right now.
Sergeant Orson requests that you apologize for the claims you made about his mother. Over. Mac, he says you shouldn't have antagonized the Firewalker in the first place.
Who?
Satellite Officer V. I'm afraid he might be referring to himself as Firewater, sir.
Firewater? He's lost it. Fuck it. Tell him to find his goddamn badge and gun. That's the only thing that matters.
Satellite Officer V. 10-4, affirmative. Officer is in pursuit of his firearm.
Oh, God,
Officer, do you need further assistance? Over. 10-4, I hear you. I don't have the authority to grant your request, but...
What does he want now?
He's asking for money.
Is he fucking kidding?
I don't think he is.
Don't give that asshole anything. He's just gonna drink it all.
Right, that's a negative on the additional funds, sir. Over. He says it's important to the case.
He isn't getting a red cent. You can tell him that.
Request denied, sir. Over. He says he's in trouble. Doesn't have a place to sleep.
Well, I guess he'd better crack the case before sundown then.
Vicmar said...
Who cares what this Vicmar said? Pull on their heartstrings. Enough, officer. This begging is below your dignity.
Anything else, sir? Over. Okay, 10-4, sir. I hear you. Relay your question. Over.
Wait. Before you say anything stupid, think it through. Be smart about this. Ask if he's there alone.
10-4, sir. I'm not hearing your question. That's a negative, sir. I got a 10-12 here. Over. (10-9) Repeat message. I didn't get that, sir. Over. Sir, I will not have you talk to me in this manner. Over.
What? What is it? What can he possibly still want from us?
He seems intoxicated and keeps asking me to call him by his name.
Mullen's drunk and emotionally aggressive. That's new.
Wrap it up. Don't indulge in his drunken antics.
(10-4), well, that's,
Does he actually want something, or is he hell-bent on disrupting our work?
He asked if he ever told me about his days before joining the RCN.
For God's sake, cut this shit out! Tell him to stop wasting time and be a goddamn policeman for a change.
Sir, Satellite Officer Vicmar says... So, was there anything else? Understood, sir. Over. Roger that. 10-10. Over and out.
18 kilometers to the south, in the 41st Precinct's relay booth, a small crowd has gathered around Communication Officer Jules Oldboy Pidier. Around a dozen cops. The small room is filled with cigarette smoke, a buzz with laughter, when Officer Judith Minot enters. Her left arm is in bandages, and her hair trimmed short.
What is going on here? Did something happen?
What happened is my partner made contact. It's not good. He's lost his badge and his sidearm. He seemed confused, delirious even.
Mac, the torso Torson, is finger-fucking his fist, laughing hoarsely and apparently telling some dirty story to his partner, Chester McLean, near the entrance.
Yeah, Mullen was fucked, alright. Sounded fucking drunk to me.
Yeah, Mac's right. This was some gnarly shit there. I mean, before he started begging for money, it was...
Enough! None of this is funny. It's fucking sad. That's what it is. He's a cop. He's one of us, goddamn this.
We must help him.
Yeah? How do you fucking plan to do that, huh? Get him off the drink? Go jogging with him in the morning and get him on carrot juice? He's a lost man.
I just know we can't give up on him when he's at his weakest. You wouldn't.
Mac, man the door. You know what he told me? I don't want to get better. I want to get worse. Those were his words. This shit does not leave this room. Not a word of this to the captain, or anyone else. We'll give him a couple of days to pull his shit together.
I guess I can hold off the report for a few days.
Good. Okay, everybody. Nothing but a prank call here. We all got our laughs. Now get back to work.
Far north, on the other side of the motorway, the officer quietly hunches with his hand in the motor carriage. A metallic drawer slides out from under the seat and clicks into place. The tools inside are neatly organized.
Take what you need, officer. It's going to be a long case. I'm not protective of my tools, like some men are.
He's clearly a little protective of his tools. But what can you do? Work is work. The pry bar feels nice and cold in your hand, heavier than you'd think. Useful for opening all sorts of doors and lids. The handles are long and sleek. Snap, snap, go the cutters in your hand. It's robust, weatherproof, and well-made. Police issue, blue. Lets you see things in the dark you would otherwise miss. The pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. Preheater gauge casts a warm glow on the steering levers and the radio on its hook. The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, 1 bottle equals 10 cents. Your bottles clunk into the machine, and the money appears with a satisfying jingle. You're a richer man now. A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays, and blister packs. They all bear the Saint-Baptiste Pharmaceutics logo.
just ask me if you need anything from St. Baptiste. We don't stock prescription meds, but we do have Measurehead, Duramine, magnesium, and hypnogamma. I don't know. Let's see. Measurehead is a nasal spray. Duramine is a really good painkiller. Magnesium is a dietary supplement. Hypnogamma is... I don't really know what hypnogamma is. I guess it makes you feel less shit. It's recommended to use after lots of partying, studying, or exercising. Uh-huh. Okay, here. I hope St. Baptiste makes you feel better or something.
Scab? A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay, screwing over both themselves and us. Everybody loses. Gotta be bloody stupid or freaking evil to Scab. Or I guess, scared maybe. But scared of what? Of who? Personally, I'd rather beg than Scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something. We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time. I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop Scab. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, "Let us cop for less money." Speaking of, what brings the RCM here, to the Wild North? Come to see the strife? Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder. Of course, Policia. It wasn't me. You can rule me out. Easier that way.
Should we? He's nice. I don't like nice. He didn't do it. It's the truth.
My friend, I respect the right to roam. The open range awaits. I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a granter of passage. The passage grants itself. I walk right past Measurehead and go in. Yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Semini supremacist there. Walk right past him, then press the button to unlock the door, then go past him again, and you enter the arbor through the office. Está. Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best Measurehead in a physical confrontation, or you could convert to a Semini supremacist worldview, or maybe it actually is completely impossible. Sure. You know, serious business. I'm sure the big boss will be glad to tell you. You'll have to ask him first.
He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike. Return once you've met the union boss and are on a better footing with the organization.
Nobody betrays your degeneracy.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
Don't say anything. Size him up first.
That is precisely the negligence that has led you to succumb to Al-Ghul. You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al-Ghul emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick. No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the ham sandwich race is waning.
Show him the ham still got it.
Begging for help. Attempting to pass fear for cooperation. How far the Occidental Haplogroup has fallen. You were once a noble and powerful race. You gave the world eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You made great gains in metallurgy, race theory, and statecraft. You dominated lesser cultures, like the deformed Hemians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Quakers. But now your ascent to the genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness and with frivolous pop culture. You will be superseded. Isn't that right, babe?
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
There is a button right behind him, just out of reach. It must be the one that opens the door to the harbor.
Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage of history with dignity by inviting the other races to a great world war. Bring your troops to the Seminine Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will pulverize you. When you are gone, we will build a museum for you. The walls will be lined with bottles of Al-Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality you call art, and your microcephalic skulls. Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that.
There must be some friction there. He's keeping it well hidden, however.
Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront polycultural capital, something your race, naivistic communists, never did. Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. It is lax and moronic. Jam. Individualism. You have gotten these ideas from degenerate youth culture, have you not? You have picked them up from rock and roll songs? Rock and roll is moribund. Only Quakers listen to it anymore. There is no life left in it. My people abandoned it long ago. It leads only to neurodegenerative herpes and heroin overdoses. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Seminese race. The South Island race. haplogroup A4A. We are the rightful masters of the Insulindian archipelago. We descend from the Areopagites of ancient Pericarnassus and arrived here 4,000 years ago. Millennia before you. We are the future. That is all you need to know. I am a descendant. The narrow streets of Ulimbuir are with me in my genetic dreams. I see young Seminoles women walk into the grey mass on Ile de Fantôme, waiting on immaculate conception from the pay. No, I have heard about it on the radio.
He would be appreciative if you did not further chase this line of inquiry in front of the women.
Yes.
This could have made him more open to discussing the race enigma with you.
Racists are generally not very good examples of their race. I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken the trouble to permanently draw a phrenologic grid on my skull and features. This should dispel any doubt. Your silence betrays your inferiority. You do not have a reply. You should enter a deep race slumber. Perhaps in 4,000 years there is need for a servile homunculus.
I think this racist is better than the last, but the next racist will be the really good one.
That will be the...
He will grant us 3 wishes.
Your pedomorphic friend has quick wits. A protruding occiput and an indented zygomatic bone.
The lieutenant does not flinch.
You should keep him close. The congenital defect of farsightedness does not render him a complete invalid. He still has the use of his mind.
He does not so much as glance at the object.
Stop showing me your pathetic cup. I have no interest in it. Your race descent has only worsened.
Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Do you?
The lieutenant looks toward the harbor's electronic door, and then, to you, he lets out an audible sigh.
You are obviously a liberal, Sailite. A polyculturalist. I can see it from your love of microtechnology and your sartorial choices. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Which one do you need education on? Those are the Seminoles, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant. a common result of inbreeding. A receding genetic pool has led the Mound on reprehensible street parades in Mound cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet and little green tassels on their hats. You know them by the names of their nation-states: the Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners. My people simply call them Mound. The Mound are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously. The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren of Sur-la-Clé, and even the North Königsteiners, all have type A race propensities. The other large mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat-based food, which in turn only produces more sebum. As proven by the Mound and the Mesk, Occidental type A is in retrograde. The Semenese and the Areopagites are on the ascent. The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Semenese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the Super Isola of Pericarnassus. Ancient brains rest in their slender skulls. The latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Simeno-Areopagite or Simeopagite superrace. That is all. There are no more type A races in the world.
Nature was not capable of more.
Were there any able-bodied races you needed education on? You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it. We will see.
Access to the Union is important for our investigation, but there may be another way in, without becoming a race theoretician.
Am I mildly worried he might take it seriously? The lieutenant thinks. Yes, I am, he concludes. I am worried.
Lost, though. Buckled away at the last gate. This is why your haplogroup will never rise from the ashes. Now, I need to luxuriate in the private company of my babe. Leave me. I cannot possibly imagine what else would...
Yes? What do you want to know? Good.
Shame on you!
A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy Grad-made machine is well kept for such an old machine. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see A lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia. The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Proclamations about honor, strength, and purity are glued to various panels. The back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and wheels sewn into the curtains.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. This is our guy. Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
There he still is, looking right through you with his white eyes. The body below
Welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People. My name is Plaisance. Be welcome, and please take responsibility for the energy you bring into this space.
a golden pendant hangs around the woman's neck in the shape of what looks like a tiny fish head trapped in amber.
Oh yes, helps to have an anchor in these times. I am the proudest owner of our little shop of culture.
She has fine-tuned her voice to find the most welcoming approach for attracting new customers. It doesn't work.
Annette, yes, my daughter. I hope she wasn't slacking off again with her nose in science fiction. Tell me, was she at her post doing her job like a proper girl? Wonderful! Did you talk to her? Great! On a scale of 1 to 10, how compelled were you to buy books after talking with her?
Her opinion of her daughter depends on how well she lured you into the store.
My precious, her dedication brings joy to my heart. If you have children, I hope they turn out as great as my Annette. Mind your own business, sir. In our society, people don't get to tell each other how to raise their children. It's none of your or anyone's business. You must be kidding. There's nothing like that happening. Good, sir. What does a young child do with money anyway? No, I save it for her as a fund. She's securing her financial future out there.
Slap the cuffs on her.
Oh, of course, officer. Good work. Are we done with the jokes now?
Yes, we've had quite enough fun here. Right.
The woman before you scans the store, her shoulders rigid and tense. Every now and then, she nudges her glasses. This bookstore is not strictly about crime, romance, and biographies of famous people. There's also a wide range of paranatural literature. Amidst the various books, you find one written by someone named Matthias W. Dundas. It's about wholeness, unity, balance. The point of the book, and many others on this shelf, is to give people medicinal advice in situations where they don't have access to paid health services. Various paranatural books still litter the shelf. A sturdy metal door guards the southwest entrance to the apartment building. It's locked. The door rattles against your knuckles, but there's no response. The door rattles again, but this time you hear an elderly woman's voice calling out from inside.
Stop banging on the door! I'm not letting any more strangers inside. The police? Everyone knows the police don't come round here. No, I already told you. I won't be responsible for any more strangers getting into the building. Go check the backyard door. Maybe someone there will.
Backyard door? There must be another entrance to the east.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
What is implied here? That you're a drunk? She hasn't actually said it to every drunk in town. It was spoken in jest.
I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. The lieutenant is hatching some scheme.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking. The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
She nods.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike?
Heavens, no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. Mr. Clare told him to, how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Keep in mind, This is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the Union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board. In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board. Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the Union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, Detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Indeed, and a hungry one. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the leech, The leech always hungers. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her. Insinuate.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue. This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman. This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
I'm sure you will, Detective. Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters. You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months. No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.